Am I the asshole for kicking my sister and refusing to send her money even though she had good intentions? Throwaway. My wife, Belle, and I have a beautiful, almost 3-year daughter. Though her arrival was unexpected, I'm so thankful for her. My sister, Cindy, has never been fond of Belle. Her irrational dislike of my wife was only exacerbated when she announced that she was pregnant. Belle was never good enough. Belle was irresponsible and obsessed with herself for working out during her pregnancy. She's a terrible mother for not quitting her job the moment she found out she was pregnant, etc. I've shut all of it down over the years and I've cut contact with her significantly. One thing my wife and I agreed to not do is talk to our daughter with that high-pitched, baby voice many people use to talk to children. We talk to her as if she was a normal human being. We don't talk to her with that goo goo gaga voice. We never have and never will. We also let our daughter, to a reasonable extent, pick her own clothes, and since she's at the stage where she wants to be independent, we will try to encourage that as much as possible. My wife is half Korean and half Ethiopian, so often, she will mix a few non-English words when she's talking to our daughter. Unfortunately, Cindy can't make rent and has been living with us for the past 2 weeks. Belle's idea, I wouldn't have let her stay in my house because of her continued disrespect of my wife. Cindy was, surprisingly, very kind towards my wife. It was very nice to see Cindy's change of heart. Until she wasn't. Cindy started to make a big fuss about how my wife was talking to our daughter, as if she was an adult, and how Belle was a cruel parent for teaching our daughter how to use chopsticks so young. The Edison chopsticks meant for children. My daughter was helping my wife cook. My wife let her hold the pot while she was draining the rice water, and my sister called my mum. She began to make threats of calling child services as my wife was a horrific child abuser. My mum, who hasn't seen my daughter in a year, got upset. I tried to get my sister to talk but she was unwilling. So I kicked her out. Now the whole family is mad at us, claiming that Cindy had good intentions, and that we should let her back. My wife is feeling very guilty with everything, and wants to send my sister some money. Edit. A few people have had concerns over whether my daughter's hands were touching a hot pot. No, they were rinsing the rice before they cooked it, so the pot not the water was hot. Not the asshole. Your wife is a wonderful woman with a kind and forgiving heart. But Cindy, despite being given second chances, has flown her true colors without remorse. She's set in her ways, opinions, and won't change. Perhaps the whole family can house Cindy rather than you and your family, since they seem so sympathetic to her. You and your wife did your part and made a solid effort to make it work. You don't owe Cindy anything. Cindy should focus her attention on self-sufficiency rather than how you and your wife raise your child. Which, by the way, how awesome your daughter is using chopsticks, learning second languages and cooking. She's got more life skills at the age of 3 than Cindy from the sounds of things. Edited. Spellcheck. Your sister is a racist, let's be real. Not the asshole. Your sister needs to learn boundaries. It's none of her business how you guys parent your kid unless there is abuse involved, which there isn't. Your daughter literally held a pot. There is no good intention in making child services threats on a loving mother. Thank you for stepping up for your wife. You'd be surprised by how many people don't stick up for their so. Not the asshole. Your sister is making a threat that could have your child taken away for a bit and at minimum cause you a lot of hassle. She doesn't respect you. She doesn't need to be there. Not the asshole. If the family are so concerned, they can let your sister stay with them. She was berating and undermining your wife, and good on you for laying down a boundary that is your family is first priority. She didn't like your parenting style, so she would be willing to lie about abuse to child services? Please don't ever let her near your wife or child again. Not the asshole. This thread is the epitome of the thread posted in r.justnomil. Don't rock the boat, op. Your sister is the one making the boat flail around, and your family is just mad you won't continue to create a setting that allows her to do so, leaving them to deal with her. Thank you for having your wife's back, even so far as respecting her wishes to allow your sister into your home. Please continue to have it by standing by her and cutting your sister out of the equation. Not the asshole. I did not read any good intentions coming from Cindy. If she cannot respect you and your wife's parenting style and is actively disrupting the household, you did the right thing. Those family members who are passing judgment, have they opened their homes to Cindy and her mouth? Not the asshole sounds like you're both doing great and your sister is clearly racist. It's she against your 3 years old being taught to use other cutlery too? In case you didn't know, the sing-songy high-pitched voice people use with babies, though 3 is probably too old for it, is known as motherese, infant-directed talk, and it's thought to play a role in speech development. Edit. Autocorrect. God forbid it happens again, but the next time the option of having your sister live with you guys comes up again, override your wife if she says it's okay. I think your wife is doing that only to keep peace among your relatives, so you need to put an end to that on your side. Not the asshole for kicking your sister out. She did not have good intentions. And threatening to call CPS? That's a no forever when it comes to your sister. And don't send her money. Your mother and your whole family can send Cindy money and have her live with them. If they think Cindy is such a treat, then they won't mind, and Cindy can't be a choosy beggar. Not the asshole. Cindy didn't have good intentions. Cindy was nice so she could stay under the radar and gather evidence. Cindy will do all she can to torpedo your marriage. Cindy needs help and to never be near your family again. Anyone who supports Cindy can join her. Not the asshole. To be honest, if it were me, I'd cut Cindy completely out of my life. Nobody needs that negativity in their life. Not the asshole at all. Your sister sounds hideous, and so long as you're not harming your baby, your parenting choices are yours alone. But FYI, that annoying high-pitched voice, infant-directed speech, is programmed into our biology. It's a scientifically backed approach to communicating with babies and toddlers, to help develop language skills for a whole, boring, host of reasons. Not the asshole, your wife is way too nice. It's not like you have the kid out looking for a job to pay rent, you are treating them with respect. Thinking about the A Series of Unfortunate Events books and how the Baudelaire parents would let the kids be involved with the dinner parties as long as they were polite and helped with the clean-up. Kids don't like to be treated like infants. Not the asshole at all. It sounds like Cindy don't like strong, independent women. You and your wife do you because you're raising your daughter to be her own person and to be proud of upbringing. You two are great parents and don't need to listen to a woman who is this petty or her white knights. Not the asshole. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, but the only intention your sister had was to demonize your wife. Good job putting being a husband above being a brother. Not the asshole. I think your sister is, and please do not send her money. Maybe she had good intentions, but it was still very stupid, and threatening you with child services is not stupid, it is straight up diabolical. These are probably not the right word for what I am trying to express here, but I don't know how to express this, because I'm not a native English speaker, but I hope you understand. You did nothing wrong and she is trying to make everyone mad at you. Again, this is not the right word, but I don't know a better one. So please tell your wife to not feel guilty and try to explain it to your family. Not the asshole. Your sister doesn't have good intentions. She is racist, and jealous, and ready to subject your mixed wife and child to possibly racist scrutiny of the state. Your wife wants to keep family harmony, but the older Belle gets, the more of an impact Cindy's behavior towards your wife will have on her. You don't seem to want to call your sister's actions racist, but you should name it to your family so that it is very clear why you are not letting her in your house. She will never change if her behavior isn't clearly identified. If your family thinks Cindy is so wonderful, they can take her in. I'm betting your wife hasn't told you the half of what goes in while you aren't home, and she shouldn't have to live under a microscope. WTF. Not the asshole, and your sister is delusional. So is the rest of them if they think any of her behavior was acceptable. Not the asshole. Lol at good intentions. If they want to help Cindy, they can house her. The moment she threatened Child Protective Services over what you are depicting is the moment she is no longer welcome. Not the asshole. Your sister is toxic. She will do this again. Not the asshole. Don't let her come back. Don't send her money. She proved that her niceness was just a mask, probably so she would have a place to live. It's fine to give some people a second chance. I personally don't ever give them a third. Not the asshole. Calling CPS with the intention of what exactly? Taking away our child? That's the hill you're willing to die on for her? Makes for an easy holiday decision for us if you ask me. For those concerned about the rice pot, Asian cultures wash the rice before cooking it. Not that Western thing we do where we cook it and then rinse it, so the child would have been fine. Not the asshole. You and your wife are raising what will one day be a wonderful young woman. She's being taught about her heritage and how to be independent in a safe and secure environment. As some have said before, I'd question whether or not your sister's behavior is motivated by your wife's race. Plus, if your sister thinks you're doing such a terrible job at being parents, tell her to sort her finances out and have her own child. She can parent whichever way she wants then. Not the asshole. Your wife is a saint. Not the asshole. And little kids using chopsticks with dexterity is delightful and adorable. Claiming that Cindy had good intentions, yay, because threatening to file a bullshit report to CPS is the first sign someone really cares. Not the asshole. Back to non-contact. Not the asshole. Your wife should not be feeling guilty over this, and I hope she feels better about basic human decency being a requirement for someone to live with you. Not the asshole. Your sister didn't have good intentions. She still doesn't like your wife for not doing things the way she thinks they should be done and was doing all of this to prove that her way was the right way. Not the asshole. Your sister is nuts. Calling child services is a big deal. She shouldn't be doing such a threat. Don't send her shit. She doesn't deserve it. Your wife shouldn't try to make things good because she did nothing wrong. Your wife sounds like a saint. Your sister, however, is an asshole. And it was a particularly low blow to involve your mother. Personally, she wouldn't get a single penny from me, she'd never see my child, or be allowed to interact with my wife again. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your sister's a racist. Strike 1. She is telling you how to live your life and raise your daughter. Strike 2. She threatened to call CPS child services and possibly tear your family apart. Strike 3. You're out. Not the asshole. And if the whole family has a problem, let them support this very opinionated sister. Not the asshole. She didn't have good intentions. She had intentions to piss everyone off and humiliate your wife. No one goes from 0 to, I will call CPS on your ass, in a single meeting without either extreme abuse or being a complete awe. Band sister for life and your family will be much happier. Not the asshole, but FYI, using the higher pitch baby voice is not a bad thing. Babies actually respond better to it and it stimulates them more than a regular, lower pitched voice. Link for more info. ETA. Just noticed your daughter is a toddler, not a baby. I don't know if baby talk is a good idea with a child that old, but it is good for speech development in infants. A frivolous CPS call is unforgivable. Her intentions were not good in the threat. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. What good intentions is your family seeing? Because from my point of view, your sister is a racist and a sexist who has made every effort to make your wife feel bad about sharing her culture with your daughter, even going so far as to threaten you with CPS because of chopsticks and rinsing rice. You need to keep her away from your family before she starts letting her bigoted behaviors bleed into how she treats your daughter. Multiracial children's first experiences with racism often come from family members. You don't want that for your daughter. Not the asshole. There is nothing wrong with what you and your wife do towards your child, from what you have said. Talking without the baby voice is actually suggested by child development professionals as babies copy. Helping in the kitchen like this, given the freedom of choices, all of these have positive effects on development of kids. That being said, there is something really wrong with your sister. Maybe her irrational dislike of your wife stemmed from jealousy, if she felt she was losing you because of her. Or maybe she's just a really miserable person. I don't know since you didn't provide context. All I can see is there is zero good intention in her actions. Not the asshole. Your wife sounds like a wonderful parent who is doing right by her child. Your sister is in the wrong and should be cut off. Also, learning to use chopsticks is a good thing for toddlers, preschoolers. It supports having a good and proper pencil grip later. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. There were absolutely no good intentions in what your sister did. No reasonable person would see the things you describe and think that your wife is abusive. She's trying to stir up drama, and the instant she mentioned CPS I would have thrown her out on her ass. She may still call them and try to make it sound like your wife is unfit. She was able to behave for a while because she needed help with a place to stay, but her true colors came through before long. That's who she really is. Don't trust her even if she seems to be on her best behavior in the future. She clearly can act new way while feeling the opposite. I would never allow her in my house again with how she's behaving. Not the asshole. But just wanted to say that child-directed speech is quite prevalent worldwide, and research suggests it can benefit kids when it comes to language acquisition. Just for thought, but B, definitely not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your sister has an irrational hatred of your wife? I wondered why, so I vigorously read your post a whole one time. After my hard detective work, I believe I have found an answer. My wife is half Korean and half Ethiopian. I don't know your sister, but the fact that she apparently immediately took issue with your wife and has been looking for any excuse for why she's bad and you shouldn't be with her makes me think that's the cause. People seem to make up shifting explanations for their hatred when they know that the real reason makes them sound bad. Plus one of the excuses is, she taught your daughter to use chopsticks. Also, your wife is far too kind, and not just in the complimentary sense. I mean, she's being too kind for her own good. Not the asshole. Threatening to call CPS is going nuclear and not something to take lightly. Hopefully, even if she did call, a caseworker would come out and see everything was fine and that would be that. But there's no guarantee of that. You could have the wrong worker on the wrong day and it could turn into a problem. She is threatening your family. You did the right thing by distancing yourself from her. Not the asshole. I am half Korean and I have very fond memories of helping my mom and aunties make dumplings, peel garlic, whatever small hands can help with in the kitchen. I also used to love my special, small chopsticks. Does your sister think that children in Asian countries use forks when they are small? Countries where chopsticks are the primary utensil. Talking to children in normal pitches and with everyday words helps them to build their vocabulary. Peppering in different languages helps develop their brains. Your sister does not know what she is talking about. Wow, how dare your wife teach your daughter how to cook, make her use chopsticks, and she talks to her like a human being. Appalling. No, your wife has endless compassion for someone that has continuously treated her badly. That ends now. Tell your family that if they are so concerned with Cindy they can take her in. Do not give her money either. Also, please tell your wife that it is not her fault and that she is a wonderful mother. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, and tell your wife that neither of you owes Cindy a thing. She's a officious busybody who needs to learn to mind her own business and not interfere with your parenting. I had the same, no baby squeaky voice, rule with my daughter, which resulted in some hilarious mishaps with the nuns at her school, and you are doing the right thing. Your girl will grow up with a good vocabulary and fine speaking skills. By the way, Korean, Ethiopian? Sounds like your wife is absolutely gorgeous. I feel you on not talking baby talk, because when I remember when I took care of my nieces and nephews I talked to them normally. One of the nephews I helped raise, I remember he started talking in really basic sentences when he hit 1. On top of his dad being a prodigy, and it trickled down to him. That's why I was able to see him talk to me in short normal sentences as a 1-year-old. He sounded adorable, but yet sounding weird from that coming out of him as a baby walking around in diapers. Lol. Also, not the asshole. Not the asshole. I literally do the same thing. I talk to my kids as I would with adults, just slower and more clear. So at 2.5 they say words like nutritious, turbine or bird poo. They also help my in the kitchen, cutting cucumber with a butter knife, and mixing things in a frying pan, while I'm holding it. How else are kids supposed to learn if not in an independent yet supervised exploration? So your sister can take her opinions and try them on her own kids. If she wants, there are plenty of scientific papers on helping children develop into healthy adults. Not the asshole. Good husband, good wife, bad sister. Not the asshole, and don't send money. A threat to call CPS over a safe task your wife and daughter were bonding over is not only asshole behavior, it is a significant threat and one that you should document so that if she opts to do it in the future you have date and time-stamped notes. I'm not kidding. Further, calling CPS on a parent of color tends to go even more poorly, and while I don't know if your sister is threatening this because of race, her comments about chopsticks make me wonder. Your wife should not be subjected to this, and I think you're right that she likely put up with more. If your family is so concerned, they can take turns housing your sister.